yarn, what we are using in the garments making, it's very important to how to make it and how for the cultivation. A large number of pesticides and fertilizer have to use. You can imagine that's 1/3 of pound for a t-shirt you need to make it needs about 1/3 of pounds of fertilizer should be used. So for the cotton, there is a maybe we have BCI and we have Sima cotton and organic cotton to control it somehow, and we have to be managed it with the certification body, third party. But for the recycle for polyester, especially for the man-made fiber, polyester is we have the morning session. We have there. I have the, we know that they are plastic. We are contaminated the environment. So recycle is a part of to collect the PET bottle of plastic and produce the reproduce the the polyester, and we have to use it. And from last 2018, we are the certified of GRS. GRS is the global standard, global recycle standard, and RCS the recycle standard claim standard of the body. They are actually work with us, and we are producing 3 or 4 type of style to use the recycled polyester, and that will be the under the GRS and controlled by third party with the TC transfer certificate. They had controlling the all the from yarn to all process where we have to be maintain all everywhere about the environment, economical, and of course the environment is a very big issues for the dyeing sector and the wet process. So minimum 50% of the water we can less in consume for if you use the recycled polyester, and near about 10% of electricity we have to save it. And upcycle is a new our launching project where it's go for the jute yarn. After the cutting part of the garments, there is a large number of jute. You can say it's maybe 13% of total garments we have to be throw it in the environment. So this jute part we have to segregate it from polyester, cotton separately, and we just make it for reproduce the new yarn to make it color different way to produce a new garments, give a new life for that, not to environment pollute the environment actually. So this is our two new project. Yep. Thank you, LB.
So he has, if everyone understood, there's 3 types of different cotton, 2 that you're recycling polyester, and you're making sure that even the man-made fabric is really recycled, and 3, and most recently, that you're upcycling everything, so everything can be reutilized, and that there's as much as possible close to zero waste is the aim. Brilliant. Now, I think that often we are concerned, to his point, that what the fabric that's being made is not necessarily being utilized, and you're making sure that all of it is being utilized and that there's as little wastage, even when you're cutting the garment out, that there's as little wastage as possible. Now, there's lots of different ways you can be sustainable and innovative in fashion. One of them is to create a whole new business model. I have Matteo on the other side. You can see the name of the company in front of you, Vinokilo. The clue is in the name, kilo. It's a weighing, kind of an innovative weighing business model. Matteo, can you enlighten us, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And
good that you're here.
It is a fun model also.
Share the fun.
Yeah. What we do at Vinokilo is quite easy, actually. Like, if you think about it, every year we produce more than 100 billion single garments on a planet that hosts around 7 billion.
100 billion?
100 billion, more than 100 billion, for a population that is less than 1/10. Other data says that in Germany, per capita, 11 kilos of textile, of garments are thrown in the trash. So the equation is quite...
per year?
Yeah, per year. 90 million people times 11 kilos, you can make the math. So every year, only in Germany.
So we're saying that people use 10 times what, per population, 10 times as much of their population, they are then wasting and using garments.
No, we produce 10
10
times
times.
more than the number of people,
Yeah.
and on
Per
average,
annum.
11 kilos end up in the trash per capita in Germany every year.
Isn't
So
that
these are just
shocking?
some numbers, right? The bottom line here is that we do have enough already. It's not necessary to produce more garments, to produce new clothes. So that's what we do at Vinokilo. We collect second-hand clothes. We collect what is considered to be textile trash.
Or vintage and beautiful, pre-loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can call it vintage beautiful product because it really is.
Yeah.
Just needs a little care. So we take what is considered textile waste. We put it in a huge process of regeneration. So we wash it, we hygienize it, we mend it, we repair it when it's needed. We divide it in different categories, and then we bring it back to a new life. And we do so by selling it per kilo. So we do organize pop-up sales. These are events all across Europe. Now we're working in 11 countries in Europe. I take care of the Italian market, which is one of the biggest for the company, because of course we love fashion in Italy, especially the vintage and second-hand one. And we do sell per kilo these clothes that were once considered to be trash, but they are not at all.
It's interesting. There came a time when the word pop-up became really fashionable. And I think you started in 2016 when that was the case, when pop-up was fashionable. And now you see these pop-ups everywhere. And it's kind of in line with your brand in the sense that you don't necessarily need to consume real estate. You don't need to have that expense that you then pass on to your customers. You're making sure that you stay as agile and nimble as possible. My only question would be whether we're wasting in terms of the washing, and not to say that you shouldn't wash clothes, but whether it goes to a real process, which is perhaps where you're looking at, I don't know, maybe cutting down any further wastage.
Yeah, that's true. It's a huge process. It's it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of work. But we do believe that we need to give back care to these clothes, right? It's people that purchase these clothes have all the rights to understand that second-hand can be first-hand. So we need to really give them also the feeling that what they're buying is first-hand. We need to shift a little bit the mentality. And if you come to one of our events, we usually try to make it look like it's not really a flea market. So we try to have a very clean space. Everything is very well organized, divided in categories in a nice and tidy venue. Why? Because still second-hand clothes have this stigma of being something for poor people or people that cannot really afford first-hand. So we believe that putting all these garments into a process that makes them look new and deliver them in a sort of first-hand experience is the key to really change people's mindset and let them understand that like second-hand can be first-hand once again, right?
Yeah, and I think you have actually made a real shift. So we have huge names like Selfridges or Harrods or House of Fraser, Selfridges, for example. They have taken this on, and they are taking pre-loved clothes. They then deliver them, wash them, deliver them. And why, if we're talking about the circular economy, why wouldn't we do that? It makes perfect sense. And actually, the more expensive the item, the more pre-loved it should be, right? Because normally the better quality it is. And I think it then leads to a circular economy of quality rather than just quantity. So speaking of quality, I'm going to go over to Marco. Penazzi. Penazzi?
Yeah.
Now, the word, your company name has the word quid in it. It's Progetta Quid?
Progetto Quid.
Progetta Quid. Always makes me think, I wonder where the quid came from. I know you're just 10 years old and that you have quite an innovative model where you're looking at, well, can you share with us actually how you are making a difference here?
Yeah, I mean, we try to. We are a social enterprise. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
I do represent 160 people, especially women, in Verona, that is nearby Venice. We are a brand, so we pretty much have everything from the style office to the production. And we do, our values are two mainly, and this is the reason why we we have been growing this much. We do recover people that do come from difficult backgrounds on a side. So
I
let's
love
say,
this. 80% you said, right? 80% of your people are from different backgrounds.
Yeah, even though I'm just a colleague of new colleagues that are doing training or that have a responsibility. So then we tend to be a social enterprise without stigma. So then we don't have to know the past or the present or like whatever you are going through, no matter if you went through prostitution, migration, disability, detention. I mean, you are just a new colleague in our place. And this is something like innovative in the social environment because usually, well, in the human world, we tend to stigmatize people. You are the one that did that thing. But we are just a brand with a quid, which is a Latin word that means with an added value, with something that makes the difference. And the second value is actually in terms of the environment. We started by chance 10 years ago when sustainability wasn't
as fashionable
a topic,
as it is now.
a trend.
Yes.
But we just had no money at all. We are an NGO. So we had to recover scraps or like exceeding fabrics from other brands. We were receiving donations or like buying leftovers here and there. So it was cheap and we could do a made in Italy with good quality and with people that in terms of performance are less performancing in comparison to other enterprises, which are not social enterprises.
Yeah, and you're making sure that other companies, that you've partnered with many other companies,
Yeah.
so that their supply chain now can utilize at least 80%. And we're talking about, ex-convicts, people who have had really difficult backgrounds,
Yeah.
that they then have jobs. And these other partners are now thinking, how can we employ these people or make use of these people?
Can you repeat the question?
Like that you are partnering with people.
Yeah.
You have a kind of a partner modelship so that people who are...
Yeah, 60% of our business is run with big corporations such as L'Oreal, Unilever, IKEA,
I love
or like
this.
groups from the luxury environment.
Voted.
So they do produce with us because of many reasons. Because of what we do, because of our values, because of the prices we have, because it's important, because of the timing we can make what they want, and because we are in Italy. So usually it's a win-win collaboration, even though we are a social enterprise. And this is a challenge that was very interesting to deal with through the years.
I'm glad you took on that.
And this is the reason why we are here talking about it.
It's a great challenge to take on. And actually, if anyone here is wearing the T-shirt, have you seen the
bags
that's been sponsored, or these bags? We've all have one of these bags, I know, and you might have seen the T-shirts. They've all come from you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's something very easy to make. I mean, we can do like better stuff, but then it's representative of us.
It's great. Thank you for sponsoring and thank you for partnering. Yes,
Thanks.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, I'm just going to move over to Nicolo for a second. Nicolo Ciprani, thank you firstly for joining us from RIFCO. And with RIFCO, you're the founder and it's a social impact project, right? Can you share with us, because you're the youngest on the block, 2018, what has been your idea?
Yes, well, thank you very much. RIFCO is a sustainable fashion brand that was born after an experience I had in Vietnam, where I've lived 2 years for a UN program, and where I realized there was a problem inside the fast fashion industry, which is overproduction, because all the productions are based on economies of scale. So there are many leftovers and waste that is not recycled or not used again inside the value chain. And my idea was to go back to Prato, where I was born, where I'm from, and to take back a tradition, because actually in Prato, nearby Florence.
Oh, I see. I thought I heard Prada. Sorry.
Prato. Because actually in Prato, nearby Florence, we recycle leftovers and old clothes since, well, for more than 100 years.
Oh, naturally.
So,
You go.
Yes, so it's something, it's really the tradition of our cluster, of our textile cluster. You need to consider that Prato is one of the biggest textile cluster in Europe. And so what we did is to take back this tradition, to start from old clothes and textile waste that we recycle into new fiber, into new yarn, and then we can produce a sweater like this. So the idea was to promote a circular model, but at the same time we saw that this tradition that was made by rugmen, that in our dialect are called cenciaioli, because cencio in our dialect means rug, they were disappearing. So we had to create a project where we could teach this art, this craftsmanship to new people. And also Prato is a territory where there are many migrants coming from sub-Saharan Africa. So what we did is to create a bridge between the opportunity to integrate these people into the society and also the opportunity to pass on this tradition. And since 2 years, we are financing this project where vulnerable migrants, they learn this job so they can pass on this tradition that otherwise risk to disappear. And obviously we are a circular fashion brand, so our main activity is to produce and design and sell clothes, but at the same time for us it's important to give value to our territory and to create social projects on it.
Brilliant. So I think that the one kind of challenge, I want to have you guys involved, so I'd like you to think of potentially a question, and I also want to put a challenge to each of you. The challenge is I want you to share one thing that is still shocking about your industry, and one solution that you think could potentially, help the situation. Now, I think there are many shocking things about the industry, but I know you guys have some answers or solutions. Does anybody want to take this on? Yes, take on the shock.
I don't want to repeat myself, but producing 100 billion garments for 7 billion people just doesn't make any sense. I think everybody here can understand it.
Yeah.
You can be 3 years old, you can be 99 years old, you will understand it. It doesn't require so much. It's very logical.
And
right?
is it true that it's all going into like big crates? I always see images of it going into the sea. Like crates that can't
not
sink,
all of it,
can't
but
do anything
as
with it.
Nicolo said, the big problem here is the mindset of economic of unit, right? The more you produce, the least it costs the single item, and for these companies it's cheaper to burn or to drop in the ocean or in the desert somewhere in the planet these extra items, right? So this is for me still the most shocking because it's a logic equation, right? So
and I wonder how much of it do you think is plastic or polyester, or what percentage do we know?
I think we have more expert people here that can answer this question.
So I think like to say about that because if you go for that fast fashion is always very, very, very fond of everyone.
Fast fashion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The fast fashion is just the opposite of the sustainable fashion.
Yeah.
You can say the fast fashion, but say the brand you are now wearing, your fashion.
This is not fast fashion, just to be clear. I hear you.
What sometimes
I wish it were, I wish it were that cheap, but it's not quite.
Okay. So yes, fast fashion is now for the big concern of the young generation. They like to be wear that fashion for some print, some embroidery, will be some look different.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes.
But the sustainable fashion, actually they are doing also. I think it's based second life is it's a part of because yes. It's
do you
very
think though we're missing something, and there's something that we could do that we're not yet doing? Is there a solution that we're not yet doing?
Yeah, yes, we should do. Wait, not to give it. Actually, this is the point. We have to work for all the industries. It needs for the brand who are working now. They're selling. They order to us. So if the brand can change something,
they're auditing to you.
Yes, they have to be. It's very important part for the brand who is now selling the product at the market retailer and the promotional, you can say the chain shops. So if they can introduce for the new generation and the other who is the end user and can introduce about that upcycle, recycle as that organic cotton, I think it should be introduced for that way to campaigning in the right way, how to sustain and make the environment for the next generation economically and that the old way. It's the part of the first brand who are actually selling the product. they have to take the initiative to change the mind of the young generation, what Matthew says.
Well, I think this auditing or this point of measuring is really important, because if you can't measure or you don't audit, you can't truly say my brand is sustainable, my brand is fair trade, or my brand is... And I think for consumers, we're often tricked to think that something's sustainable, something's recycled, and it's not necessarily. So we do need a very strong auditor in the... What were you going to say?
Yes, we need. I mean, what we need is also to have like proper certifications and
Yeah.
also life cycle assessment
Yeah.
that can say that a recycled material is really less pollutant than a new one.
Yes.
But I think what we need to understand is that I can use recycled cashmere, recycled cotton, recycled nylon, and so on. But if I still produce 100 garments, then people buy 60% of them, and then they wear 10%. Then 10% of what I produce is still not sustainable. So, using recycled materials, using recycled processes, it's a part of the solution. The main solution is that we need to buy less and to wear longer what we buy. This is the main solution when we want to solve an industry that has become one of the most pollutant in the recent years and that before wasn't. Because nowadays we buy so much clothes that we don't need, while we should pay more attention when we buy and really ask ourselves that what we buy is really needed for our wardrobe.
I thought that after the pandemic, during the pandemic, people bought less. And that maybe, I'm looking at you because I'm hoping that you'll answer the next question.
Let's see.
Yeah. That after the pandemic, people have changed their buying habits, I'd hope. Is that the case?
We see it. We see it.
Haven't we had a year? Aren't we post-pandemic by a year?
I mean,
No? Ish?
we have a lot of jobs. We never had this much request. Like
So you're
before
having more and more requests?
more and more requests.
Okay.
Like now we are saying no to some collaborations, and this is something that never happened before.
So actually people are wanting, demanding, buying more.
Yeah. I mean, from us, but I don't know about the global
Industry,
market.
yeah.
Everybody are. You were asking something about the solution and the
Solution, yes.
problem, and I mean, what is still shocking you? And I mean, we everybody. I mean, people is not just people. It's not just them. I mean, people is us. It's me. It's you. We everybody belong to a capitalist kind of world, so there is a model that we somehow have to fit in no matter what.
Yes.
So we everybody are part of the limit and part of the solution. What I see is that, I mean, limits are starting point no matter, and limits are not just waste. And we are part of the solution. I mean, we just take care of 100, 200 people, I mean, including us, which is not easy to do. And I mean, doing something in a different way is part of the solution. We try to, I don't know about the big picture. I mean, we are trying to. And after the pandemic, we see a lot of movements, especially like huge corporations are working with us. And it depends. They might have many reasons. They might be really into the value. So, because of they have KPIs, they do it because of the philanthropy of the owner of the business. They might do it because of marketing reason. They might do social washing. They might do environmental washing. But I mean, we don't care about the main reason why we do it, why they do it, why they approach us. I mean, we do something. We do represent a value. We do it.
Yeah.
No matter if it's 1% or 100%. And by doing it well, we see that we move the consumption style. And the next season, they come with more quantities, more jobs for us, which means that they have a good sellout because we are still in this market, I mean.
What I want to ask, if maybe someone in the audience who perhaps works in the industry or knows the industry well, what is it that you wish these guys or that their organizations were doing and that isn't being done, so that we can see if there's any kind of potential for growth here? Does anybody have an idea or any question or something that you would want to see? Because a lot of this actually is about their behavior, right? Your buying behavior. but we might as well have it up.
Yes, thank you.
And shout for our purposes. Wow.
So we're discussing a lot about the recycling, about the optimization, about the processes. So I was wondering if you already are doing this shift of mindset in people. How are you working with the consumers actually, and how do you want to expand so that more people actually have a sustainable mindset?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I talk on behalf of Vinokilo, and yes, I mean, like, it is a shift of mindset, and how do you do it, right? For us, the most important thing is to look at our events as a platform. So I make an example, I give another number. In Italy, year to date, we had 300,000 people. These are 300,000 people, like all of you, that come to a place and they go through a sort of experience. So for us, it's not only about putting some clothes in their baskets and have them going out with some clothes. Of course, we are a business. We need to survive. We need to have a healthy P&L. We need to have some bottom line. We need to pay salaries to people, right? But using that platform to educate our customers. So we host panel talks in our events. We have laboratories. We have workshops. We try to use it as a platform to bring the message, to make them understand that we are not just fun. There is a meaning behind. There is something that you should bring home with you in your tote bag, which is a renewed understanding of how the industry works and why you should stay away from certain companies and maybe really award with your money. Because as in a country, you go and you vote for the best party or for the person that represents your value. With the money, as a consumer, you can really award, and you can give gift a company that represents your value, and you believe it's the values that should be captured in the future. So that's how we try to do it at Vinokilo.
In some ways, you're almost being asked to do something that is against business sense. You're being asked to re-educate the population, to buy less, to waste less, and to use longer so you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. And some way, although that's social business, you also have to make it work for you. Now, you've made it work for you by looking at how you're employing people and who you're employing. You've made it work for you by looking at the kind of the complete supply chain and auditing. You've made it work for you. Well, you've made it work for you because that's your business, recycling, upcycling, and yourself. But is there something that we could do to persuade all the other kind of almost the high street brands for whom this is not in their interest? How can we make it in their interest to join this? Because otherwise it's going to be a very slow movement.
I think what we can do is, well, I believe that every time we buy a garment, we vote for a system or for another. And I think what we can do as a market, as people that buy clothes, we can vote when we buy for one philosophy or another. And if big brands see that we prefer one philosophy from one other, they will shift their mindset because they follow the market, they follow the profits. And if they see that the profits don't arrive because they have maybe a whole mindset, they change it because they see people changing the habits.
So it's in your hands, actually, not in ours, as to what you're demanding, and then we will produce to that.
I like to add something about with Nicolas that yes, what you say, that's okay. You don't change the mind for the customer end user, but now all the brand, they have their own line for the sustainable plan. So most of the brand now, they're working with the CMA cotton made in Africa, which is aid by trade rather than donate. So the environment at the Africa, at the same time, better initiative cotton that I told you earlier, that's they are actually all of the brand, they are already in line for sustainable. So no one is out of that now, because now the main issues for
sometimes, let's be fair, sometimes they're using that word because they know it's the fashionable word to use, or they know it's going to sell. I wonder how sustainable they are. But anyway, continue, yes.
Yes, yes, you're right. So, but it then sense that if you go for the second life for the garments, what Vinokilo was working and Nicola working, but it's not actually possible for that. Like Vinokilo, you can make lot number of Vinokilo cannot give you the environment sustain, because all the mindset you cannot change at a time. It will be changed one by one, step by step. So at the same time, simultaneously, you should be work with the produce the garments from the cultivation, the cotton, and the end garment. All the process he should be sustained with the 3-0 Professor Yuno's concept. I think it will be work with us. If you think that will be changed for that all the second life garments we can wear it. How can you produce this? You cannot collect the used garments from the end to end, door to door process. So it is simultaneously you have to process to make them understand the brand. You have come with the sustainable line, and at the same time you can produce and the garments which is sustainable. I say bring to the process and the cultivation.
Yeah, so you're putting the responsibility back onto the manufacturer
Yes.
and saying we need to actually make sure that what we're producing is sustainable and fair. I'm going to give you each one last word that's really going to kind of power home this message. And one thing, I'll start with you, if that's okay. One thing that you think, if we all knew it, we would change our habits forever. Or any last message you want to say, because that's maybe too big a challenge.
Yeah, I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. But is there one final word apart from thank you?
I'm okay with thank you.
Okay, all right. So gratitude. You can never go wrong with gratitude. You're very welcome. Is there one last word you wanted to share? Something that's going to... I mean, your point is let's take responsibility no matter who we are, right? And go into the 3 zeros.
Yes, it's my last message, I think, from this panel, that use your cloth as less as possible. Don't buy more cloth from the market. What you need actually, you can buy the cloth, because every T-shirt have the minimum involvement with the environment, and that's the way you have to be help the earth and the planet.
Yeah, that's
you.
a good tweet there. Use the cloth you actually need and perhaps cut your cloth accordingly. Yes?
Well, I actually strongly believe that the future is still in our hands. We can change it if we can change our habits and our consumption habits.
That's a beautiful, hopeful message, right? The future is in our hands, and actually, not all is lost. And in many ways, that if we can recover the wastage that is in, let's say, those crates in the ocean or the sand, or this, that we can actually... I've seen a huge change in the industry, in the fashion industry, over the last 10 years. I think we all saw the documentaries about fast fashion. We all became aware, as a collective, especially youth, and fashion is in our hands, that changes were needed, and you guys made the changes. So, final word.
I'm going to close with one of our mantra, which is the most sustainable garments are the ones that are in your wardrobe already. Yeah. So don't look around for more clothes, guys.
Yes, and in fact, Marie Kondo has taught us a lot about giving. And in fact, just to give an example, our high street, most of our high streets, I think, have seen that clothing shops, new clothing shops, have shut down. And those that are recycling or those that are sharing pre-loved clothes are the only ones that have remained on the high street. That alone is saying a lot about how we, hopefully, are changing our purchasing habits and our fashion habits. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Yes. It's a real thank you.
adesso però tu così non riesci a fare niente. Te lo devo accendere io. Ah, sono tutti spenti?
Sì.
Ma non è che invece lei dovesse funzionare così,
Ah, magari sì, non dà più il feedback.
non dà più degli stati.
Pum, pum. Ehi, sa.
Sì, infatti c'è.
Tum. Tum, tum. Sì. Pum, pum.
Sì, questi sono le serenità.
Forse sta cercando il microfono. Ma me lo vado a rimettere. O sono diventati troppo sensibili i bottoni.
Speakers, I have more mics.
Tu.
No, no, quelle dei nostri clienti. Erano due, sì, sì, sì. Del microfinanza io non so più dove sia in questo. Paolo che sta anche sulla microfinanza, però non so quali erano gli altri interlocutori. Non so, perché qua non ci sono. Andiamo con quelli che ci sono. Sì, sì, sì. Professor Torluccio, vi siete già presentati un attimo. Noi ci siamo conosciuti oggi.
Quando inizia ci fa la presentazione della scaletta. Parleremo di... ci aiuta.
Hello. Sì, certo, certamente.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So they will activate it once you're on stage.
Great, so
Good. You're also a speaker. Yes. Yes. So if you could go to the stage, this is a silent headphone. So you would need the headphones for the people
Okay.
to understand.
Great.
Peccato perché diciamo non avete avuto modo
Maybe...
di apprezzare tutta la manifestazione.
No, I don't
C'era il
think so.
professor
Maybe
È stato molto
we have enough time for all of
come
us.
inizio.
Presente, ciao,
we
sono Alex.
not
Perdonatemi, Federica.
require more time.
Piacere, Alex.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Di Albergo Etico.
Sì, io albergo etico. Ah, conosci.
I think she's going to call us, or you prefer if we are sitting?
Scusate, sono
I think the moderator will take go.
c'erano, video non c'era.
Che peccato.
So for the panel,
Comunque, visto anche la vostra la sta caricando
Great.
adesso, perché non
sitting
c'era.
there, it's easier.
Yes. Mi dispiace, proprio andate dal voto e poi ci siamo riusciti. Temiamoci, dai, sì, accomodiamoci.
So.
Ci metteremo anche noi le cuffie, presumo.
Where?
Quasi quasi questi cellulari li lascio, li raggiungo. moderator?
No.
Okay. Okay, perfect. No worries. That's a beautiful dress.
Oh, thank you.
If
No,
you
ma
could go on
lo-
stage.
almeno lo mettiamo
Oh.
subito,
The phones are there, just take
perché sai
Really,
che
I wouldn't
te lo-
like, but I
ti,
must
ti
do.
chiamo o ti do il mio.
I'm sure you'll be amazing. Best luck.
334.
335.
Aspetta, chiamo io allora.
Longer, because after that we don't have anything.
Oh, good. So we can end up with Albergo Etico, who also has a video, and he will probably take more the stage. And who else is here? No, no one else.
No, we can take one away, one chair away.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's okay. You want to sit in the middle?
Yeah. So
And I'll take this with
yeah.
yeah.
Then present you. Okay. And
The
then
presentation and then Alberto.
Good. Thank you. È vero? Dovrebbe essere, ma io non ho ancora anticipato qualcosa qua. Per noi ci spieghiamo le lavori fuori, spieghiamo meglio. Io l'ho inteso così. Che penso che si vede a volte chiassosi sopra. No, perché non è
Secondo me per le persone che stanno su questo tavolo,
Ma prima ho visto che parlavano, però
che ti autosenti. Dai, grazie. C'è già abbastanza caos.
Si sente?
Good afternoon, everybody. So we are here in Turin for the Global Social Business Summit with the Professor Mohamed Yunus. And this session is focused on the role of the microfinance and social business in Italy. And we consider very important to take into account also the role of the banking system, the third sector, how they can foster social business and the development of social business using microfinance. With us we have Giuliana Carducci. She's involved in the third sector from BNL, so relevant banks that we know pretty well. Please, Giuliana.
Thank you, Giuseppe. I'm very glad to be here. Welcome, everyone. I'm very honored to be here today. Here with me, we have two of our main social entrepreneurship clients. And I've asked them, I invite them here. We have them here to share their experience. I think this is the second day of such an important event. I changed completely my schedule, my speech. I'm very inspired by what happened this year within these days. I really feel contaminated with all this experience. So I think that Alex Doselli from Albergo Etico and Mr. Sinigallia and Federica Pirovano from Fondazione Progetto Arcaollus will have a lot to say today. As you may know, BNP Paribas started a special social entrepreneurship program in 2013, which we joined. And the idea is to support not just with the financial products, but also with networking, pro bono activities, new products for the social entrepreneurship to help them and to support, to deliver social wealth. And that's the main thing, because we recognize how important and pivotal is their role in the society and in the economy. We really do. Even more after these 2 days. During this last 10 years, I worked for my bank focusing on the third sector. Social business is part of the third sector. And on the whole, I experienced with these 10 days, 10 years, how the sector has grown up a lot, reaching up 5% of our GDP, which is amazing. And so now really we also experience a changing in their mindset. But maybe before they were more focused on searching for philanthropy and donators. Now they realize that to make their beautiful business sustainable in the time, they need support of all the stakeholders and also the financial support of the banks. And we banks have to change our mindset in terms of evaluating them, not just from their financial results, but more and more for what they do for the society and the environment. That means that, and in fact, we have a specific credit policy within the group to take into account their impact as a risk mitigant, because that's the main role. It's not to make profit, but it's to deploy social wealth. And so we have this specific credit policy. We worked on some more specific financial products, which are more in line with their needs. We are among the few banks that can deploy it's a rotative fund. It's a social rotative fund for social enterprises in agreement with the Ministry of the Economic Development. We are receiving some requests, and this is financing, subsidized financing proposal to deploy social and environmental projects. This is one of the products we have. We also had it very recently, and thanks to my colleague Aldo which is sitting just in front of me today. He's the relationship managers of Fondazione Arcaolus, Aldo Pasquin, and we just managed to issue our first social link loan, which then we have to talk about it further. But this is just a simplification, an example of what we are searching to do. We also are working on the possibility of introducing the pay by results scheme in Italy, working on a social impact bond, because BNP Paribas, of course, they are the leader in social impact bond in France, but there the market is slightly different. But we're working hard on it. The idea is to widen the range of opportunities to sustain financially sustaining the social and environmental projects. As I was saying also, we try to provide opportunities for networking, and this is why you are here, and inviting you in events and creating a network, a favorable network that can help you and help us to change, to getting better and better in a society. So at this point, I don't want to take up more time, and I just want to thank you, really thank Aldo Montafia and Aldo Pasquin, which are the local relationship managers, the two Aldos. It's not the name of a pizzeria. The two Aldos, forgive me. And then I immediately leave the floor to you, Giuseppe Sinigallia, Professor Sinigallia and Federica Pirovano, to talk a little bit about your experience and share with all of us what is your activity, what you do, what is your impact. Please.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, but I speak
yes, I forgot.
Italian and Federica translate.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, to say, yes, that Federica is here not just because she's assistant of the board of directors, but also to help Mrs. Sinigallia, and she will translate for us. And if there are any questions, maybe on these topics arising from this speech, then I please you to write to me in my email, and then I will reply further on. Thank you.
Fondazione Progetto Arca nasce nel 1994 su ispirazione di Frate Ettore e Madre Teresa di Calcutta, con l'obiettivo di aiuta persone fragili sotto la soglia di povertà, senza tetto, rifugiati politici, persone in difficoltà economiche, abitative, anziani, e soprattutto senza una rete relazionale, con l'obiettivo proprio dell'integrazione sociale.
Fondazione Progetto Arca was founded in 1994 by a group of friends under the inspiration of Brother Ettore and Mother Teresa of Calcutta, with the aim of offering help to people who are fragile and below the poverty line, homeless, refugees, families in economic and housing difficulties, and elderly poor, without a relational support network, with the aim of reintegrating them into society.
In questi 28 anni sono stati un'occasione di grande lavoro, di costruzione di rete e soprattutto di osservazione. Se in passato infatti le accoglienze erano di grandi numeri in grandi centri, gli studi in realtà ci dicono che l'accoglienza in appartamento è la prima risposta verso l'integrazione, soprattutto l'housing first, l'housing led su ricerche anglosassoni. Sono alcune tipologie di accoglienza che realizziamo ogni giorno. Per questo motivo Progetto Arca nel tempo ha deciso di investire sull'acquisto e la ristrutturazione di case, di unità abitative. E grazie al prezioso aiuto di BNL che ha realizzato un social loan da 3 milioni di euro a cui abbiamo usufruito, il numero delle unità abitative di Progetto Arca è salito da 116 a 156 in un solo anno.
These 28 years were an opportunity for great work, networking and observation. If in the past, in fact, the reception was of great numbers in large centers, studies and reality tell us that house accommodation is the first response toward integration. Housing first, housing led, etc. are some of the different type of welcome that we make every day. For this reason, over time, Progetto Arca has decided to invest in the purchase and renovation of housing units, and thanks to the essential help of BNL, which has created a 3 million euro in social loan in our favor. The number of housing units rose from 116 to 156 in 1 year.
Bene, siccome sono diverse le azioni che abbiamo in tutta Italia, chiedo a Federica di illustrarcele.
But there are a different line of action of Progetto Arca throughout Italy. In the slide you can see some interesting number, and I tell you a small list of the most important. Street units, meals, night accommodation, accommodation for drug addicts, accommodation for families, health assistance, wardrobe service, orientation and training, legal assistance.
10 minuti sono davvero pochi per illustrare tutto, però ci tenevo a sottolineare che il lavoro dopo la casa è un passo fondamentale per l'integrazione sociale. Per questo motivo 6 anni fa Progetto Arca ha creato un'impresa sociale che si chiama Progetto Mirasole, che gestisce l'abbazia di Mirasole a Opera vicino a Milano, ma soprattutto organizza corsi di formazione per l'integrazione lavorativa. Questo fa sì che possa creare posti di lavoro a favore dei più fragili. Quest'anno oltre 100 persone verranno integrate nel mondo del lavoro.
10 minutes is a very short time, but after the housing, work is definitely the second step towards social integration. For this reason, 6 years ago, Progetto Arca gave birth to Progetto Mirasole Social Enterprise, which every year works with dedication to organize training, courses, and create collaboration that can create a job for the most vulnerable. For example, in the last year, 100 of people can find and try to work.
Okay, thank you.
Incredible. Thank you to you. It is a lot to do, wide range of activities you do, and yeah, interesting. Another way to help social enterprises is also, I mean, we are inspired from what we said within these days, and we are trying to also help them to find job. And I mean, the idea is to try to cooperate with them, even as I mean, for example, we managed to organize a nice meeting for BNL in one of the social hotel, the ethical hotels that run by Alex Roselli. That's the idea. The idea is not just to be close to these clients, not just as a bank, but also as a partner, propose ourselves as a partner. And with Progetto Mirasole, we were thinking to do the same, actually. Maybe for this and this occasion, maybe the location was too small, but we can think of other way to cooperate, to collaborate. So thank you so much again. And now it's your time. Alex Roselli is here for us. He will speak he knows how to speak in English. He's just came back from one event, an important event in Australia. You can talk about this if you want. You can mention it. And no, this is just to tell you Albergo Etico is instead in many places, not just in Italy, but also abroad. I'll leave you the floor to you, Alex.
Yeah. Can we start with the video, please?
But just few images that Alex wants to share with you all.
The area between Langhe and Monferrato is a place of inspiration with an outstanding tradition of wine and food featuring unique aromas and taste. A player of excellence with great creativity. An idea dreamt up at a restaurant table. A project that lays down roots and embraces life, work and the growth of boys and girls who turn passion into their greatest ability. This is a service that adds value to typical local products, the food, the wine, which stands out for the smiling faces and professionalism of its staff, which has accessibility and welcome in every sense as the feathers in its cap. Ethical Hotel Project. We add value to the pleasure and taste of travel.
So thank you so much. It has been very inspiring event on such an honor to be a privilege to be here with you and such a great audience. Well, I have not a great presentation. I'm sorry for the audience. Well, I think I prefer to tell my story from my point of view. And yeah, nothing to add to the video, I think so. But this was the very first beginning. Because the origin of the project, the roots of the project can be traced back since 2008. Oh, it's a long story, I think so. And the first ethical hotel was opened in Asti, northwest Italy, not so far from here. I think just 50 kilometers by car, I think so. That's the difference from here. And it was in a restaurant and hotel, and it's a normal restaurant and a normal hotel. So the workforce consists of 50% people coming from professional sector and 50% people with intellectual disabilities or physical disabilities. So we opened the first ethical hotel in Asti, and then we decided to increase, to grow up as a social enterprise, be able to create an impact. And so we decided to open the second hotel in Rome. And then we opened the third hotel in Valle d'Aosta, Venice. And then again, no fear and no regrets, we opened the first ethical hotel in Argentina and in Australia, and this year in Albania. Yeah, because we started with the A, and then we B, C, over the other countries. You may say, great audience, that we want to conquer the world. It's true. It's true. Because it's a sort of a special recipe. And the ingredients are fragility, disability, poverty, tourism, food, and wine. And we can find all over the world. And this is the secret on the reason why we create a real good example of a social enterprise. But how do you make this important impact in this social enterprise? Well, there's an hotel and a restaurant and the high quality of touristic offers
obviously concentrated in tourism, sustainable tourism and ethical tourism, and from the other side, the Academy of Independence. Let's go spend 3 or 4 words about the Academy of Independence. So the Academy of Independence is this particular space where people with disability can try their own self-advocacy, and we can train them. We can do first work experience, and it's very important because our range of stable work for people with disabilities right now is 65%. Again, stable work. That's very important. That's crucial data. I think that's in a strong impact because then in the future, I just want to show some details about this ROI. But just only to recap our beautiful project, because from one side we have the hotel and the restaurant in different sites, and the other side we have the Academy Independence. And this realized a unique project in the world, because the capacity to make a scale between the training, the work experience, and the self-advocacy experience doesn't exist in other place. So this is a unique in the world. Recently, I've been awarded by the Social Enterprise Forum in Australia as a change maker from the European context in 2022. Well, it was an honor for me, but as my mom said, she was a beautiful lady from English. She's a good lady. Beautiful lady is too much. From the English countryside. And yeah, because when I was in the kitchen was used to be my playground, and they just shut up, please stop to joke with knives and forks. You're very dangerous. Yes, I'm dangerous because I have a vision and a model, and you can't understand, ma'am. Yeah, now this is the story of the life. We have the vision and the model, and we have the capacity to change the rules. Because the change maker, what does it mean? If you don't find the correct environment, you can create it. If you don't find your correct environment for your idea, for your dream, you can create it. Because we are all concerned about issues and problems, but are we committed in solution as well? So again, in another form, we are focused on problems or we are focused on solutions? I'm focused on solution. I just wanted to show, and I'm going to the end of my speech. I'm sorry if you're doing my shoulder, but I can write me this. This is the social return on investments. And this is the study realized by the important university here in Italy that demonstrates our real impact. Okay. Sorry. This is an important pamphlet that's demonstrated that Albergo Etico has generated a social return of 3.72 euros for 1 euro invested. Okay, and it's very important to measure our impact with numbers in order to demonstrate our stakeholders, donors, private foundation, banks, families, other entrepreneurs, the importance of making impact, the importance of the social enterprise to mind the gap. We are facing new challenges, and this demonstrated evaluation in 2018 for ASTI. There are outcomes, and there are some interviews of the stakeholders. So the first one is the mother from ASTI. Oh, very, very nice. And this demonstrates in comparable with the ASTI, the Rome situation for forecast the next year in 2019. And it demonstrates, so please pay attention to the number, that's 5.11. So for 1 euro invested, the social return on investments measure 5.11. It doesn't exist any other investments of 5%. It doesn't exist in the market. Believe me, the bank is here. Pistoia forecast, crucial data, crucial year. So the pandemic is growing up. So don't consider these data now, but demonstrates that the 5 point. And I'm going to confirm that the 5 point in the Pistoia is possible from next year. But 3 places in terms of social return investments. I'm going to the end, then I leave your space on the floor for a Q&A, that I think it's a very interactive session. As we mentioned yesterday, every social entrepreneur, every business needs financial services, for example, in terms of loans, in terms of mortgage, in terms of corporate banking, internet banking, friends, and partner. And then we have to establish a correct relationship everywhere with our stakeholders, with our field. If you want to make an impact, we have to consider everywhere your space with our stakeholders. And this measure is very important to communicate your idea to the audience. So I think every day that we have to change the rules of the world, because I think that now we are in the point zero, not ground zero. We are the point zero. For social environment, for wasting time, for the protection of the world, for the protection of our kids, and we have to demonstrate that if you want to create, to build an inclusive society, to take care about fragile and the people who needs caring. Thank you so much for your attention.
My microphone is not working any longer. My microphone is no longer anymore. No longer working. Thank you, Alex. I know Professor Donato has something to say.
Does it work?
I hope.
Great. So here we can see how banking system and other kind of entity can work together according to the Yunus message. When we are talking in terms of microfinance, we can see the microfinance banks, they are just the opposite of the real one. So they ask collateral, microfinance does not ask any collateral, they believe on trust, they, in some sense, it's just the opposite of the traditional banking. So you have shown us that it's possible to do that with the banking system. So not necessarily it's kind of breaks big institution where you cannot get money because they don't trust you. So I think it's a good example also to show to different students at the high school, at the university. For at least 6 years, we have done some kind of teaching social business in high school in Bologna with the Grameen Italia Foundation. And they ask at the end of this process to propose different kind of social business with a business plan and so on. It was just an exercise. Now we can see that this kind of exercise, some of them are very close to your idea. Now we can see that it's really possible. We can see how can put together the financial leverage, the debt, the equity, the trust, so different components. You can create the right mixture to get this kind of social business idea in place. So we will invite you to present this kind of presentation also to the students, because we can see that we can work with different Excel files, we can create different kind of hypotheses, but we can see that it's possible also with the banking system as well.
Well, I'm totally agree with you. I made a different presentation with the school, with the high school and the university in order to demonstrate and to help their capacity to create the new enterprise and the new social enterprise, to inspire new ideas and young, because I think that's young are the promise of the future, you know. And so I think it's very important to share our ideas, to demonstrate another thing is very important, that we are a network. We are not jealous of our ideas, but we want to share and contaminate with other ideas. And this is a special topic of the social enterprise context as well. So a social enterprise in a good world of good news and a positive change. I stole your your message with the bank because
good.
yes, we create the positive change in no fear about the context and no fear about the countries that are more difficult or full of poverty, but it's a good network and the good news for the future. So I totally agree with you. We need to meet young people, we need to inspire young people, and we need to communicate that the bank could be a good partner. Not ever, to be honest, not ever. Not all banks are equal, but we have to...
Sensible.
Yeah, sure. But if you find a good financial partner, yeah, you can spread your wings and fly.
So we need to train the banks as well, you mean? No, not all the students.
I hope.
Some of them at least.
Ma passando da Bologna, se si ferma a Mirasole, c'è un'abbazia bellissima dove abbiamo un ostello e dobbiamo creare un ristorante di alta qualità, per cui ti aspettiamo.
So he's just proposing, Alberto Sinigalli is proposing Alex Oselli to join him in the, what's his name again? Progetto Mirasole. Yes, it's a beautiful place. It's an old abbey that they turn into a hotel. Is that uno?
Sì, ci sono le celle dei frati del 1200.
Well, it dates back to 200, and the cells of, a little very uncomfortable rooms of the priests of that time have been turned into nice, comfortable rooms for tourists of today, and they have to create a restaurant apparently, and it appears that just nearby there's a solution. So this is networking. This is what I was thinking.
Yeah, we said
saying.
In America, usually we said you made my day with this new, and in Italy we said you'll find your man. I'm here.
Does anyone have some questions or any interests we can reply to you now, because we still have 10 minutes. Yes, please. Oh.
Thank you. I just want to question, we know that the Grameen Bank model in Bangladesh has been replicated in the United States. Would this also be a good plan for Italy?
Yes, and thank you for the question. Gives me opportunity to say that BNP Paribas and BNL, as we are part of the group of BNP Paribas, really wants to be here and have a word on this occasion. We supported the event exactly because we have a 5-year agreement with Grameen, during which we are developing a lot of synergies. We want to learn from Grameen. It's very important for us. I don't have direct contact with Grameen. They are thinking of opening a branch here in Italy. We have Permigro, which is our microfinance bank within the group. But I know that they have a lot in common, and the dialogue had just started. So let's give time to time, and I'm sure something new and nice to tell you maybe next year or in the future will come out, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you for this question, because you put your attention on how to combine microfinance to social business. Because sometimes we consider microfinance just small amount financing tool. Instead, it's something completely different. So it's a process where you help the people to discover themselves, start with idea, try to model this idea, check the financial sustainability of that. The financing part is just one small piece of large picture, because you need to support them before and after, especially in developed countries as Italy. So it's not so easy to start a new business. For that reason, many times the social business experience from the real business can help the people to learn skills, to learn how to manage different kind of activities, hoteling or restaurant stuff. And later on, they can start with small amount provided by the banking system using the microcredit. Because otherwise, if you give only the money from the microcredit, they are not able to develop any kind of activities because they need some kind of support. And if you can combine the social business experience on the ground with a financial tool, you can create new enterprise using the leverage from the banking system, from the microfinance.
I don't know if, oh. I was not expecting all that. I'm so glad that you are interested and curious.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I'm going to ask my question just because I can in Italian and English. The question is, do you see, to the entrepreneurs, do you see social business growing and becoming bigger in Italy? Because I feel like Italy doesn't have enough social business yet, a lot more classic business. In italiano diventa più grande il social business in Italia.
Percepite che sta crescendo il social business in Italia o ancora una dimensione tanto piccola? I can translate. Dimmi, tu rispondi, io traduco.
Ma sempre di più le aziende e il no profit si stanno avvicinando, ma è quasi un'attrazione, non è una cosa voluta, è un bisogno che le aziende hanno e il no profit ha. C'è proprio la parte di testa, di cuore, di azione che è nella globalizzazione anche dell'uomo c'è bisogno, per cui ci stiamo veramente avvicinando naturalmente e questo produce una moltiplicazione dei risultati, per cui veramente senza questo finanziamento noi non avremmo potuto fare 45 case in più, senza queste 45 case in più 45 famiglie all'anno non sarebbero potute essere integrate e nella dimensione più grande 45 persone che escono dallo stato di indigenza e non sono più un costo sociale per la struttura più alta che è il governo è sicuramente un bene comune, per cui è proprio una necessità di questo momento storico che il social business si ingrandisca e si unisca, si globalizzi veramente.
What an answer. Thank you. No, it's okay. I hope you grab the essence, but the idea is that the two part of the economy, social business and corporate standard are, yes, attracting each other in such a way because they discover that they need one to another, because we realize that without make the social business grow, we don't give dignity to people, and if we do instead, these people are then these people are the ones who promote new business and make the whole economy grow. So it's a win-win opportunity. What an answer! Thank you, Professor Senigalia. It's incredible. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Certo.
Or maybe you first.
So thank you. So initially, congrats for your Italian. That's very good.
Yeah.
And well, to avoid any complication, social business is a business. So business is a business, and social business is a business. Well, I think that right now, the level of the social business in Italy is too low. Well, but I think that in UK, in Germany, in Europe, the level of social business is too low again as well. I think now we have to understand that business as usual is not more possible. Okay, so we need to consider now, if you want to have a great and a solid business, you have to consider the social impact on the human impact. Without them, you can create a solid business for the future. That's my opinion.
Well, I have a few seconds given the music that you can enjoy it. Yesterday we discussed in the academia session how we study B Corp, because sometimes we are talking in terms of B Corp, and the meaning was maybe we have to move to one step further. We should consider in terms of S, social corp. So how can we move this movement from the starting point to the other one? As we said before, it is a path, so there is strong interest to move in that direction. Thank you.
Is anyone in? Yes, yeah.
Hello, and thank you everybody for the nice presentation. I just want to ask something about microfinance and very small or small social businesses, because I feel that in Italy, in my experience, and that's what I want to ask you, there are a lot of small social businesses which have many problems with bankability and to go to banks and to have the credibility to get finance or microfinance. I come from an experience, but it's a big experience, and so we were able with my company to find solution. But smaller companies, how is possible to put credibility in small companies, and so banks can loan money and so on and so forth to lower and smaller businesses? How is that possible in your opinion? And thank you.
Well, in Italy, we have a different scheme how to create microfinance facility between different banks. Some of them, they will use the public guarantee. They cover 80%. Of course, not 100%, because it's misleading to give 100% collateral of loans, as we discover in many experience also in Italy. Other banks prefer to consider microfinance one part of larger loan portfolio, so they can manage different kind of risk with different level of risk. But from applicants' point of view, usually they need some kind of support to communicate. Not the guarantee, not the collateral function, but the projection in terms of cash flow and the projection also in the social impact. So it's not so easy. And many banks have done big mistakes. Of course, they prepare 15, 100, 500 different branches, and they can do microfinance, but of course they are not skilled enough. It's better to have 2, 3 branches very focused on this kind of specific activity called microfinance. It's not microloan, it's microfinance.
I can add that maybe what we do in BNL, I can talk about my experience, I'm afraid. Maybe, but it's not, I think it's a good idea. We try to do this for the very small activities who really needs not just the financing, but also mentoring. Per Micro, it does work because they provide, as I said, not just the financing, but also all the skills. Because what we notice is that actually, and this is why social business is not has grown up as much as we thought it could have done, and it will in the end, I'm sure. But sometimes the lack of competence. The project is beautiful; they do impact, but they are not skillful enough in terms of how to manage with the profit and loans, as simple as that. And so they are not sustainable in time for this reason. And with the mentoring that microfinance can provide, Per Micro can provide, they then reach the stage that they can develop their initiative as more like as a startup. And then in the time they become bankable, just to use a word that you introduced, and then it's they can expand, they can grow up, and but it's not. It's a good start, and it's a good start for them because it's a way to increase their competences and make their business, their good ideas working in the time. I don't know if I answer completely to your question.
From the social entrepreneur point of view, if I can add your request and your response, well, generally for social enterprise, they prefer to manage a little business, and it's difficult to go out from your comfort zone, you know. And then you have to demonstrate your capacity, your aim for the midterm sustainability. That's very important for the bank point of view or from the stakeholders point of view. Second, you have to demonstrate the good management. If your ideas are related to the world or are related to the moon, and if you have the good management, if you have the good capacity to manage number and cost incomes, and this ROI could help to demonstrate your reputation, your credibility. You have no fear to get money, no fear to find donors, to find private institutions that you can invest, or stakeholders or private stakeholders. And again, no fear about going out your comfort zone. If you want to scale up, the social enterprise could do, but no fear about you go out of your comfort zone.
Thank you. I want to refer to what you said, that we have a small amount of social businesses in European countries. And I think for a good transformation of our economic system, we need to reverse the rate. For example, if we had 20% social businesses now and traditional business, for a successful transformation, we need to reverse that rate. And how can we do that? We need to create some incentives in society that this path will go on. For example, we saw that a good example of this stock exchange, which will be created here. Another idea could be to create a kind of digital currency, a social business dollar, I would call it. Because this bitcoins, they have a fixed amount, and this would also fit good to this non-dividend policy of the social business principles. So I think we need to be courageous to go on with new ideas. What do you think? What would be your measures to go on this path?
Well, so thank you for your question, my friend. It's not so simple to find an answer and a correct answer, because it depends on so many factors. So, well, initially, I can answer you that we need more social business. It's true. But it depends on the skills of the man, on the management that you manage a social business, because we need to we need to protect the reputation and credibility and the good and positive context. So I think we have to invest in young people, in young ideas. That social business is the best proposal, is the best idea against any business as usual. I think that we can create, as a political system, more fiscal advantage, more stimulation for incubator or new social enterprises, but it's not enough. I think that now we have to create a more cultural and inclusive society, and a cultural background, again, for young people. So I know that's my bet, my personal bet is on behalf of young people that represent our future. Does it make sense? Because now we live in a special situation that we need to have an impact, the change now, right now, not in 5 years, not in 6 years. We can't consider the program that result winner in 5 years, in 10 years. We have to change now. So I think that's young, university, schools, countries, absolutely, and bank, financial institution, government, regions, entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, in a good committee, decided how to manage this new solution, this new proposal. But we need to speak with other people and convince that the social business is a good measure. And then I think we balance even better the measure of a social business and a business as usual. I don't know if you have a good answer, because it's quite difficult, but this is my idea, my personal idea. I don't know yours.
Ma volevo dare dei nostri numeri. La nostra base nel social business è veramente la cittadinanza. Noi il più grande investimento che ha fatto il nostro CDA è stato investire in coinvolgere i cittadini attivi.
What do they invest most is to involve the citizens, and citizens are their a major target. They try to educate them and push them and tackle them.
Abbiamo investito il 10% in raccolta fondi e oggi raccogliamo 14 milioni all'anno di raccolta fondi.
So you gather 10 million euros
Il
every year,
10%
of which 10%
abbiamo iniziato 10 anni fa
they start 10 years ago, of course.
e oggi raccogliamo 14 milioni su 24 milioni di fatturato.
On 24 millions of total income, 14 millions are because they raise money, raising money, and this money comes from the citizens, the more sensible, the more active.
E per cui il nostro capitale, e credo che è anche quello che riconosce BNL, sono i nostri sostenitori.
Yeah, basically, we recognize, and we do recognize, they do have a very strong network of stakeholders and people who are interested in what they do every day for the citizens and for what they do, yes, and they provide sources in order for the foundation to go on with this business.
E naturalmente cresciamo del 20% all'anno.
We did increase rate 20% per year, which is a lot. Do you have anything? I mean, other? Should we end up here in our speech, a section? And thank you so much, for your kind of interest and for your questions. Thank you so much, Professor Torluccio, as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex, Alberto. I start with Mr. Sinigallia and end up with Alberto. I allow myself to call you Alberto. And Federica, thank you so much.